The private dining room at Celestine was designed for moments like this. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River. A single table set for two with white roses and champagne chilling in silver. A violinist tucked discreetly in the corner, ready to play on cue. And hidden behind a decorative screen, a professional photographer with $10,000 worth of equipment, waiting to capture the moment a billionaire asked the woman he loved to marry him. Except the woman he loved was already married. Devon Martinez moved through the restaurant's main dining room with practiced grace, balancing a tray of aperitifs destined for the bar. 28 years old, lean and athletic from years of boxing at the neighborhood gym in Queens, he carried himself with quiet confidence that came from knowing his worth, even when the world tried to tell him otherwise. He'd been working at Celestine for 3 years, long enough to recognize the regulars, long enough to know which tables tipped well and which ones snapped their fingers like he was a dog. Long enough to understand that in a restaurant where entrees cost $200, he was supposed to be invisible. But Devon had never been good at being invisible. He noticed things, details, patterns. The way a woman's smile changed when she was with her husband versus her lover. The way a man's hands shook when he was about to make a decision that would change his life. The way people revealed their true selves when they thought no one important was watching. Tonight, Devon noticed something that made his stomach drop. In the private dining room, the one reserved 3 months in advance for $8,000, not including food, sat Alexander Chen, 39 years old, tech billionaire, CEO of Vision Tech Industries, net worth estimated at $4.2 billion. He'd been on the cover of Forbes twice, and TechCrunch loved to profile his disruptive innovation philosophy. Across from him sat the woman he was about to propose to, Vanessa Laurent, 34 years old, art gallery owner, stunning in a red dress that probably cost more than Devon's monthly rent. Hair like silk, smile like honey, and a 3-carat diamond ring already on her left hand. A wedding ring, not the engagement ring Alexander was about to offer. A wedding ring she wore every Tuesday when she came to Celestine for lunch with her actual husband. Devon had served them 6 times in the past 4 months. Vanessa Laurent and Dr. Marcus Hayes, high school teacher. Quiet man who wore sweaters with elbow patches and talked about his students with the kind of love that made you believe in public education. They always sat at table 7, always ordered the salmon, always held hands while they waited for their food, and every time, Vanessa wore that 3-carat diamond wedding ring, the same ring she wasn't wearing tonight. Devon stood frozen in the service corridor, watching through the small window as Alexander Chen checked his watch, adjusted his tie, and reached into his jacket pocket to touch the ring box hidden there. His hands were shaking, not from nervousness, from excitement, from the certainty that in 5 minutes, his life was about to become perfect. "Martinez, you good?" Chef Andre called from the kitchen. "Table 12 needs their mains." Devon grabbed the plates by muscle memory, but his mind was elsewhere. He had maybe 3 minutes before Alexander made his move. 3 minutes to decide whether to stay invisible or blow up a billionaire's proposal with information that would shatter everything. The ethical calculation was complicated. If he stayed silent, Alexander would propose. Vanessa might say yes, might not. Either way, not Devon's business. If he intervened, he'd be inserting himself into a situation that could cost him his job, his reputation, and possibly his safety. Rich people didn't like being embarrassed. Rich people had lawyers. But there was a third consideration, one that Devon couldn't ignore, no matter how much easier silence would be. Dr. Marcus Hayes was a good man. A man who talked about his students with pride, who left generous tips even when the service was average, who told his wife she looked beautiful even after 20 years of marriage. And he deserved to know his wife was about to accept a proposal from a billionaire in a restaurant where, ironically, Devon had served them both their anniversary dinner just 2 months ago. Devon set down the plates at table 12, smiled through the obligatory, "Is everything to your liking?" and made his decision. He walked toward the private dining room as Alexander Chen stood up, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a ring box that probably cost more than Devon's entire year's salary. The violinist began to play. The photographer's camera started clicking, and Devon opened the door to the private dining room, tray in hand, heart pounding, knowing that the next 60 seconds would either save a marriage or destroy his career, maybe both. Because some truths are more expensive than silence, and some moments require you to be visible, even when invisibility is safer. Devon had 3 seconds to decide exactly what to say. 3 seconds before a proposal that would change multiple lives. 3 seconds before everyone discovered that the most dangerous person in a room full of wealthy people is often the one they never bothered to see. "Vanessa," Alexander said, his voice carrying across the intimate space with practiced confidence. "There's something I need to ask you." He began lowering to one knee. "Excuse me, sir." Devon's voice cut through the moment like a blade through silk. "I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent phone call for you at the host stand." Alexander froze, half kneeling, confusion flickering across his face. "A phone call? Now?" "Yes, sir. They said it's extremely urgent, regarding Vision Tech. A security breach, they said." It was a lie, a completely fabricated lie. But it was the only thing Devon could think of that would get Alexander away from that table before he made a mistake that couldn't be undone. Alexander's jaw tightened. "Can't it wait 5 minutes?" "They were quite insistent, sir. Something about investor notifications going out in the next 10 minutes if you don't respond. That did it." Alexander stood, frustration clear on his face, but the businessman in him couldn't ignore a potential crisis. "Vanessa, I'm so sorry. This will just take a moment." "Of course," she said, her smile perfect, her eyes unreadable. Alexander followed Devon out of the private room, through the main dining area, toward the host stand. As soon as they were out of Vanessa's earshot, Alexander grabbed Devon's arm. "There's no phone call, is there?" Devon met his eyes. "No, sir." "Then what the hell are you doing? Do you have any idea what you just interrupted?" "Yes, sir. You were about to propose to a married woman." The words hung in the air like smoke. Alexander's grip on Devon's arm loosened. "What?" "Vanessa Laurent is married. To a high school teacher named Marcus Hayes. They come here every Tuesday for lunch. Have been for the past 4 months. She wears her wedding ring. They hold hands. They celebrate their anniversary here." Alexander's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Disbelief, denial, anger, then something worse. Doubt. "You're lying," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I wish I was, sir, but I've served them half a dozen times. Table 7. She always orders the salmon. He always orders the ribeye medium rare. They've been married for 6 years. Alexander pulled out his phone, fingers moving frantically. Devon could see him pulling up social media, searching. His face went pale as he found what he was looking for. A photo. Vanessa in a wedding dress, standing next to a man in a simple gray suit. Marcus Hayes. Caption, 6 years ago today, still my favorite person. Posted 3 weeks ago. Alexander's hand shook so badly, he almost dropped his phone. This has to be a mistake. Maybe they're separated. Maybe she posted that 3 weeks ago, sir. The same week you told me you were planning this proposal. How do you know when Alexander stopped? You've been serving me too. Yes, sir. You come here every Friday. You've been bringing Vanessa for 3 months. You've been planning this proposal for 6 weeks. I know because you asked the manager about the private room, about the photographer, about the violinist. Alexander leaned against the host stand, the color draining from his face. Why are you telling me this? Devon considered his answer carefully. Because 6 weeks ago, I also served you and Vanessa when Dr. Hayes walked past your table on his way out. She pretended she didn't see him, and he looked like someone had just stabbed him in the chest. He knows. He knows she's cheating. Yes, I don't think he knows it's you specifically, but he knows. Alexander looked toward the private dining room where Vanessa waited, beautiful and patient, and apparently very good at lying. How long have you known? Since the second time you brought her here. I recognized her from Tuesdays. And you waited until now to tell me, until I was literally about to propose? I wasn't sure it was my place, sir. You're not the first person to have an affair. It's not my job to police the personal lives of customers. Then why now? Devon took a breath. This was the dangerous part, the part that could cost him everything. Because Dr. Hayes is a good man. And because 3 weeks ago, when he came here for lunch without his wife, he told me she'd been working late a lot recently. He asked me if I'd seen her here with anyone, if she'd been coming in without him. What did you tell him? I told him no. I lied to protect her, to protect you, to protect my job. Devon met Alexander's eyes. But I can't watch you propose to his wife. I can't be part of that. Some things are more important than tips. Alexander stared at him for a long moment. Then he did something Devon didn't expect. He laughed, not a happy laugh, a broken one. Do you know how much I've spent on her in the past 3 months? No, sir. $473,000. Jewelry, trips to Paris and Tokyo, a down payment on a gallery space in Soho because she said her current location wasn't good enough. Alexander's voice was hollow. And, the whole time, she was married. I'm sorry, sir. Don't be sorry. You just saved me from the most expensive mistake of my life. Alexander straightened his tie, composing himself. What's your name? Devon Martinez. How long have you worked here, Devon? 3 years. And you make what? 40,000 a year? 50 with tips? Something like that. Alexander pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card. Call my office Monday morning. Ask for Linda Chen, my head of HR. Tell her I'm offering you a position as executive assistant. Starting salary $120,000, plus benefits. Devon blinked. Sir, I can't. You can. And you will. Because I need people around me who tell the truth even when it's inconvenient. Especially when it's inconvenient. Alexander pocketed his phone. Now I need to go back in there and handle this situation. What are you going to do? Alexander's smile was cold. I'm going to propose. Exactly as planned. Devon's stomach dropped. Sir, I just told you. I know what you told me. And I believe you. But Vanessa doesn't know that I know. So, I'm going to let her accept my proposal. Let her think she's won. Let her celebrate. His voice went ice cold. And then I'm going to make sure Marcus Hayes gets every photo from tonight, along with documentation of every expense I've paid for her. Every trip, every gift, everything. That's Revenge? Yes, but it's also evidence. For his divorce, for his fresh start. Alexander looked at Devon. You protected him once by staying silent. Now I'm protecting him by making noise. Some debts have to be paid publicly. Before Devon could respond, Alexander walked back toward the private dining room. Devon watched through the service window as Alexander got back down on one knee. As he opened the ring box, as Vanessa's face lit up with surprise and joy and absolutely perfect performance, as she said yes, as the photographer captured every moment, as the violinist played and Vanessa kissed the man she was betraying while wearing the face of someone in love. But what Devon didn't know, what Alexander was about to discover, was that Vanessa's web of lies went deeper than a secret marriage. And the truth was going to destroy more than just one proposal. Chef Andre appeared beside Devon. What the hell just happened? You interrupted a proposal. It's complicated. Complicated doesn't pay our bills, Martinez. If that billionaire complains to management, he won't, Devon said, though he wasn't entirely sure. Trust me. Trust you. You just committed career suicide in the most expensive dining room in Manhattan. Maybe, but Devon had spent 3 years watching wealthy people treat servers like furniture. 3 years being invisible. 3 years keeping secrets that weren't his to keep. Tonight, he'd chosen visibility, and whatever consequences came from that choice, he'd face them standing up. In the private dining room, Alexander Chen slipped an 8-carat diamond ring onto Vanessa Laurent's finger. She laughed. She cried perfect tears. She whispered things that looked like, "I love you," from across the room. And Alexander smiled back, calculating exactly how he was going to make sure everyone knew the truth. But there was another truth neither of them knew yet. Marcus Hayes wasn't at home grading papers. He was sitting at the bar in Celestine's main dining room, nursing a whiskey, watching everything through the bar mirror's reflection. He'd known about the proposal for 2 weeks, and he'd come to see his wife accept a ring from another man. Because sometimes you need to see the betrayal to finally let go of the person who broke you. Devon caught Marcus's reflection in the same mirror. Their eyes met. Marcus raised his glass slightly. A silent acknowledgement between two men who'd both made difficult choices tonight. Then Marcus stood, dropped $200 bills on the bar, and walked out into the Manhattan night, leaving behind a wife he'd loved for 6 years, leaving behind a marriage that had died months ago, leaving behind everything except his dignity. And Devon realized, sometimes the person you're trying to save has already saved themselves. The question was, what happened next? Because Alexander Chen wasn't the type to forgive betrayal quietly. And Vanessa Laurent was about to discover that the most expensive ring in Manhattan came with a price tag she couldn't afford. 3 days later, Devon's phone rang at 7 a.m. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him pick up. Mr. Martinez. A woman's voice. Professional. Sharp. This is Linda Chen from Vision Tech Industries. Mr. Chen asked me to follow up on your conversation from Friday evening. Devon sat up in bed. The job offer. He'd half convinced himself it was something Alexander said in the heat of the moment. Something that would be forgotten by Monday morning. Yes, ma'am. I wasn't sure if that offer was serious. Mr. Chen is always serious about talent acquisition. Can you come to our offices this afternoon? 3 p.m. We'd like to discuss the position parameters and get you started with onboarding paperwork. I still have my job at Celestine. I'd need to give 2 weeks' notice. Already handled. Mr. Chen purchased your employment contract from Celestine's ownership group. You're released effective immediately with 4 weeks severance pay. Your final paycheck and accrued vacation will be deposited by end of business today. Devon's head spun. He bought my contract? Mr. Chen values decisive action. 3 p.m. Mr. Martinez, I'll send you the address. She hung up before he could respond. Vision Tech headquarters occupied 12 floors of a glass tower in Midtown. The lobby alone probably cost more than Devon's entire apartment building. He felt underdressed in his only suit, a charcoal gray number from Macy's that he'd bought for his cousin's wedding 3 years ago. Linda Chen met him in reception, 50 years old, Korean American, wearing a power suit that made Devon's look like a rental. Mr. Martinez, welcome. Please follow me. She led him past security, up a private elevator, to the executive floor. Alexander's corner office overlooked Central Park, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, and on the desk, a ring box, closed. Alexander stood by the windows, hands in pockets, looking out at the city. Devon, thank you for coming. Mr. Chen, call me Alexander. We're going to be working closely. Devon glanced at Linda, who nodded and quietly left, closing the door behind her. The job offer is real, Alexander continued. Executive assistant to CEO, 120,000 base salary, full benefits, stock options. You start Monday. Why? Devon asked. You don't know anything about me except that I'm a waiter who interrupted your proposal. I know you told the truth when lying would have been easier. I know you protected a stranger's marriage more than you protected your own income. I know you see things other people miss. Alexander turned to face him. Those are the qualities I need around me. People who notice, people who speak up. He picked up the ring box, opened it. The 8-carat diamond caught the light like a small sundae. She said yes, Alexander said quietly. Vanessa said yes. We celebrated with champagne. She cried. She posted about it on social media within 20 minutes. 3,000 likes in an hour. She's already talking to wedding planners. And you're letting her? For now. Alexander's smile was cold. Because I want her to feel safe. I want her to think she won. I want her to plan a wedding that will never happen. That's cruel. No. Cruel is what she did to her husband. Cruel is lying to him for months, while she positioned herself to marry someone with more money. Alexander set down the ring box. I'm just making sure the truth comes out in a way that protects Doc Hayes. You've met him? No. But I've had private investigators document everything. Vanessa's been cheating on him for 8 months, not just with me. There were 2 others before me, both wealthy. Both ended when she realized they weren't wealthy enough. Devon felt sick. She's a professional. She's a predator. And I was her biggest target. Alexander pulled up photos on his laptop. Screenshots of text messages, bank transfers, hotel receipts. This is 6 months of documentation, every lie, every expense, every moment she was with me when she told her husband she was working late. Why are you showing me this? Because tomorrow night, there's going to be a dinner. Vanessa and I are hosting an engagement celebration at Celestine. Small group, intimate, 20 people, including Doc Marcus Hayes. Devon's blood went cold. You invited her husband to your engagement party. I invited him under the guise of her wanting to share our happiness with old friends. She doesn't know I know who he is. She thinks she's safe, that she's pulled it off. Alexander's voice was steel. But at dessert, I'm going to play a video. A compilation of every documented lie. Every moment she was photographed with me while telling him she was somewhere else. Every expense I paid while he was teaching high school for $48,000 a year. That's not justice, Devon said. That's public humiliation. That's transparency. Marcus Hayes deserves to know the truth in front of witnesses, so when he files for divorce, he has ironclad evidence and community support. And Vanessa? Vanessa will be exposed for exactly what she is, and I'll make sure every wealthy man in Manhattan knows her pattern. She'll never trap another target again. Devon shook his head. This is wrong, Alexander. You're not protecting Marcus. You're weaponizing him for your revenge. Am I? Alexander's voice was sharp. Tell me, Devon, if someone lied to you for 8 months, made you believe they loved you while they calculated exactly how much money they could extract from you, would you want to handle it privately? Let them walk away with their reputation intact while you dealt with the humiliation alone. I'd want them to face consequences, Devon admitted. But not like this, not public execution. Then how? Devon thought about Marcus at the bar. The quiet dignity, the way he'd raised his glass and walked away. I think Marcus has already made his peace with this. I think he knows, and I think he's handling it his own way, which is leaving, moving on, not letting her take anything else from him. Alexander was quiet for a moment. You sound certain. I saw him Friday night, at the bar. He watched you propose. He watched her say yes. And then he left. That stopped Alexander completely. He was there? The whole time? And he didn't stop it? Why would he? She made her choice. He just witnessed it. Devon met Alexander's eyes. He doesn't need you to expose her, Alexander. He's already free. Alexander sat down heavily in his desk chair. Then, what do I do? Just let her get away with it. You break up with her. Privately. You keep the evidence in case she tries to sue or extort. But you don't destroy her publicly. Because that's not justice. That's just making yourself feel better by making her feel worse. She deserves to be exposed. Maybe. But Marcus doesn't deserve to have his pain turned into a public spectacle. And neither do you. Because the moment you play that video, you become the bitter billionaire who got played. That's the story, not her betrayal. Your embarrassment. Alexander stared at the ring box, at the 8-carat symbol of a lie. What would you do? Devon considered. I'd call off the engagement party. I'd tell Vanessa you know everything. I'd give her one chance to tell Marcus the truth herself before you release any evidence. And then, I'd move on. That's letting her win. No, that's letting yourself win. Because you walk away with your dignity intact. She walks away exposed but not destroyed. And Marcus walks away without being used as a prop in someone else's revenge plot. If you've ever been lied to by someone you trusted, drop a comment. Tell us how you found out. Because this story is about to show you that sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply walking away with your truth intact. The engagement party was scheduled for Tuesday night. Same day Vanessa usually had lunch with Marcus. Devon spent Monday at Vision Tech, learning systems, meeting teams, sitting in on meetings where decisions worth millions of dollars were made in conference rooms that smelled like expensive coffee and ambition. But his mind was elsewhere. Tuesday morning, Alexander called him into his office. I thought about what you said, and I cancelled the engagement party. Told Vanessa I had a business emergency overseas. She was disappointed but understanding. Alexander pulled up his phone. Then I sent her this. He showed Devon a text message. I know you're married to Marcus Hayes. I know about the other 2 men before me. I know everything. You have 24 hours to tell your husband the truth yourself. After that, I'm sending him all the evidence. Your choice, how this ends." Devon read it twice. "When did you send this?" "An hour ago. She's called me 6 times. I haven't answered. What if she runs, just disappears? Then Marcus gets the evidence anyway. Either way, he gets closure. And you?" Alexander was quiet for a moment. "I get to not be the villain, thanks to you." Before Devon could respond, Alexander's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Marcus Hayes. Vanessa just confessed everything. I wanted to thank you for not humiliating her publicly, and to tell you I filed for divorce this morning. I knew about the affairs for 2 months. Your message just gave her the push she needed to finally be honest. M.H." Alexander showed Devon the screen. He knew. "You were right. What are you going to do with the evidence?" "Give it to his divorce attorney. Let him use it however he needs." Alexander deleted the video compilation from his laptop. "But the public shaming, that dies here." "Good. Devon, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why did you really intervene Friday night?" "The truth." Devon thought about his father. About the day he came home early from work and found Devon's mother with another man. About the way his father's face had looked. About the way his family had shattered in one moment. "Because someone should have stopped it before my father had to see it," Devon said quietly. "And I couldn't save my family. But maybe I could save someone else's." Alexander nodded slowly. "I'm sorry that happened to you. Me too. But it taught me something. That the worst betrayals are the ones that happen while everyone watches and no one speaks up. So you spoke up. So I spoke up." That evening, Devon got another text. This time from Marcus Hayes. "I'd like to buy you dinner. Not at Celestine. Somewhere quiet. I want to thank you properly." Marcus they met at a small Italian place in Greenwich Village. No celebrities, no billionaires. Just red sauce and checkered tablecloths and waiters who actually smiled. Marcus looked lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. "I heard you're the one who told Alexander about Vanessa's ring." News travels fast. In the world of billionaires and the people they almost marry. "Yeah." Marcus ordered wine. "Good wine, but not obscene wine. I wanted to thank you for looking out for a stranger. You deserved better than what she was doing." "I did, but I also chose to ignore the signs for longer than I should have. That's on me." Marcus poured them both a glass. "You know what the worst part was? Not the cheating. I'd made peace with that months ago. It was the money. Watching her spend Alexander's money while telling me we couldn't afford a vacation because my teacher's salary wasn't enough. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm free now. Divorce papers are filed. She didn't even fight it, just signed everything." Marcus raised his glass. "To honesty, and to waiters who give a damn." Devon clinked his glass. "Former waiter, I work for Alexander now. Executive assistant, right? He told me. Said you're the most honest person he's ever met." "I don't know about that." "I do, because you had nothing to gain by telling him. You only had things to lose. That's rare." They ate dinner, talked about teaching and restaurants and New York, and the small ways people survive big betrayals. By the end of the meal, Devon felt like he'd made a friend, a real one, not a networking contact, not a professional connection, just someone who understood that sometimes doing the right thing means risking everything. As they left the restaurant, Marcus stopped. "Can I give you some advice?" "Sure. Don't lose that instinct. The one that makes you speak up even when silence is safer. Because that's your superpower. And the world needs more people like you. Devon watched Marcus walk away into the Manhattan night. A man who'd lost his wife but kept his dignity. A man who'd been betrayed but wasn't bitter. A man who'd chosen to walk away with his truth intact. And Devon realized that's what real strength looked like. Not revenge, not public destruction. Just knowing when to fight and when to let go. He pulled out his phone and texted Alexander. "Thank you for listening. You made the right call." The response came immediately. "No. Thank you for teaching me there's a difference between justice and revenge. See you tomorrow." Devon walked home through Manhattan, past restaurants where other proposals were probably happening, past couples who might be lying to each other, past waiters who were choosing silence because speaking up was too expensive, and he hoped that somewhere, someone else was choosing to be visible, choosing to speak up, choosing truth over safety, because that's how things changed. One honest moment at a time. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart. Devon was in his office at Vision Tech, his office, still surreal to say out loud when Linda Chen knocked on his door. Her face was grim. "Conference room. Now. Bring nothing. Say nothing." Devon's stomach dropped. "What's happening?" "Just come." The conference room was full. Alexander, Linda, 3 lawyers Devon had never met. And on the screen, a paused video. Security footage from Celestine. "Sit down, Devon," Alexander said. His voice was flat, empty. Devon Saturday, one of the lawyers pressed play. The video showed the private dining room. Alexander proposing. Vanessa saying yes. But the angle was different. This wasn't the photographer's footage. This was from a hidden camera. And the audio was crystal clear. Devon watched himself interrupt the proposal, watched himself lead Alexander to the host stand, watched himself tell Alexander everything about Vanessa's marriage. But there was more. After Alexander went back inside, the video showed Devon pulling out his phone, texting someone. The timestamp was visible, 8:47 p.m., 20 minutes before the proposal. The lawyer paused the video. "Mr. Martinez, can you explain what you were doing?" "I don't remember. Let me help." The lawyer pulled up phone records. At 8:47 p.m., you sent a text message to this number. He showed Devon the screen. "Do you recognize it?" Devon's blood went cold. He did recognize it. Because he'd saved it in his phone 3 months ago, when the man had left his business card with a generous tip, Dr. Marcus Hayes. You were warning him," the lawyer said. "You texted Dr. Hayes to tell him his wife was about to accept a proposal from another man. You told him where to find them. You orchestrated his presence at the bar." Alexander's face was stone. "You lied to me. You said he just happened to be there." "I didn't. The records don't lie, Mr. Martinez." The lawyer pulled up more evidence. Text messages. Devon's message to Marcus. "Your wife is at Celestine tonight. Private room. You should come." Marcus's response. "Thank you. I'll be there." "You manipulated the entire situation," the lawyer continued. "You inserted yourself into a private moment. You interfered with Mr. Chen's proposal. And you coordinated with Dr. Hayes without disclosure." Linda Chen spoke for the first time. "Devon, this is a conflict of interest. You were simultaneously working for Celestine, serving Mr. Chen, and communicating with Dr. Hayes. You violated multiple employment contracts and possibly several laws. I was trying to help. Help who?" Alexander's voice was sharp. "Me? By humiliating me in front of my girlfriend, Marcus? By dragging him to watch his wife accept another man's proposal? Or yourself? By positioning yourself as the moral hero while everyone else suffered? That's not what happened. Then tell me what did happen. Because from where I'm sitting, you played me. You used information from your job to manipulate a situation for your own purposes. And then you lied about it. Devon felt the room closing in. I texted Marcus because he deserved to know. Because I thought if he saw it himself, he'd finally have the closure to leave. That wasn't your decision to make. Alexander slammed his hand on the table. You don't get to decide how other people handle their pain. You don't get to orchestrate someone's heartbreak because you think you know better. Alexander, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo the fact that you violated my trust, Marcus's privacy, and your professional obligations. All while pretending to be the good guy. Linda slid a document across the table. This is your termination letter. Effective immediately. You'll receive 2 weeks severance despite contractual violations. But Mr. Chen is being generous. He could sue you for fraud, breach of contract, and professional malfeasance. Devon stared at the document, at the signature line waiting for him. I was trying to do the right thing. No, Alexander said quietly. You were trying to be the hero. There's a difference. Heroes don't manipulate people. Heroes don't lie by omission. Heroes don't play God with other people's lives because they think they know best. I saw what my father went through, and you projected your trauma onto Marcus Hayes and me. You made our situation about your pain, your need to fix something you couldn't fix in your own life. Alexander's voice cracked. I thought you were honest, Devon. I thought you were the one person who would tell me the truth. But you were just as manipulative as Vanessa. You just had better packaging. Devon stood. The room spun. What about Marcus? Have you talked to him? I have. He's devastated. Not by his wife's betrayal. He'd made peace with that. He's devastated that he was turned into a puppet in someone else's morality play. That his pain was orchestrated for someone else's satisfaction. Linda held out a pen. Sign the termination agreement, Mr. Martinez, or we proceed with legal action. Devon signed. His hand shook so badly the signature barely looked like his name. One more thing, the lawyer said. You're prohibited from contacting Mr. Chen or Dr. Hayes for the next 12 months. Any violation will result in immediate legal action. Do you understand? Yes. Then we're done here. Devon walked out of Vision Tech headquarters in a daze. He'd been there exactly 2 weeks. 2 weeks from waiter to executive assistant to unemployed. His phone buzzed. A text from a number he didn't recognize. This is Marcus. Alexander gave me your number before the lawyers made him block you. I need to talk. Can we meet? Same place as last time. M.H. Devon stared at the text. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to respect the legal boundaries, to walk away and let the damage he'd caused settle into history. But he texted back, when? Now, if you can. Marcus was already at the Italian restaurant when Devon arrived. He looked different, tired, older somehow. You came, Marcus said. I probably shouldn't have. The lawyers. I don't care about the lawyers. Sit. Devon Saturday. Marcus pushed a glass of wine across the table. Alexander told me everything. About the texts, about you orchestrating my presence at the bar. About you manipulating the whole situation. I'm sorry. Stop. Marcus's voice was firm. I didn't come here for an apology. I came here because I need you to understand something. Devon waited. I knew, Marcus said quietly. I knew you texted me that night. I knew you were trying to help. and I went anyway. Not because you manipulated me, but because I needed to see it myself. Alexander said you were devastated. Alexander is angry and hurt and looking for someone to blame besides himself. So he's blaming you. Marcus leaned forward. But here's the truth. You didn't manipulate me. You gave me information. What I did with that information was my choice, my decision, my pain to process however I needed to. But I shouldn't have interfered. Why not? Because it's not professional. Because servers are supposed to be invisible. Marcus's voice hardened. Devon, I spent 6 months knowing my wife was cheating. 6 months watching her lie to my face. 6 months feeling invisible in my own marriage. And you know what the worst part was? Devon shook his head. That everyone knew except me. The hostess at Celestine knew. The other servers knew. You knew. Alexander knew. My wife knew. I was the only one living in ignorance because everyone decided it wasn't their place to tell me the truth. I thought I was protecting you. From what? From pain I was already feeling. From a truth I'd already figured out. Marcus's eyes were wet now. You texted me that night because you saw me suffering and you couldn't stay silent anymore. That's not manipulation. That's compassion. Alexander doesn't see it that way. Alexander is a billionaire who got played by someone he thought he could trust. His ego is bruised. His judgment is questioned, so he's lashing out at the person who exposed it all. Marcus finished his wine, but he'll get over it. Eventually, when he realizes you saved him from something much worse than embarrassment. I lost my job. I'm probably blacklisted from every high-end establishment in Manhattan. I violated contracts I didn't even know I'd signed. You did, and that's a real consequence. But it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who cared more about truth than career advancement. Marcus pulled out an envelope. Which is why I want to offer you something. Devon opened it. Inside was a check for $50,000. What is this? It's what Alexander was going to pay you in your first year. Salary you earned by being honest when no one else would be. Marcus, I can't. You can. And you will. Because I make $48,000 a year teaching high school. And my wife just signed a divorce settlement that gives me half of everything she got from Alexander, which includes the gallery down payment, the jewelry, the trip. Turns out being a gold digger has consequences when you get caught. Devon stared at the check. This is too much. It's not enough, but it's what I can afford. Marcus stood. Take it. Use it to figure out what comes next. Start over. And stop apologizing for having a conscience in a world that rewards people for not having one. What about the non-contact order? That's between you and Alexander, not you and me. And I'm not pressing charges. I'm not suing. I'm just a high school teacher who appreciated someone giving a damn about his pain. Marcus put money on the table for the wine. Good luck, Devon. I hope you land somewhere that deserves you. He left before Devon could say anything else. Devon sat alone, holding a $50,000 check from a man he'd tried to save, signed termination papers from a man he'd tried to help, and the realization that sometimes doing the right thing costs everything, and sometimes that's still the right choice. 3 days later, Devon got a call from an unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Mr. Martinez, this is Patricia Hernandez. I'm the owner of Celestine. Devon's stomach dropped. Ma'am, if this is about the contract violation, it's not. It's about a job offer. Silence. Mr. Chen informed me of what happened. The full story. Not just the legal version. The human version. Her voice was measured. He also told me you've been blacklisted from several establishments. That's unfortunate. and unfair. I violated professional boundaries. You did. But you also demonstrated something rare in this industry. You saw your customers as human beings with lives beyond their reservations. That's valuable. I don't understand. I'm offering you a position as floor manager at Celestine. $70,000 a year. Full benefits. Your role would be to train staff, not just in service, but in observation, in recognizing when intervention is necessary, in understanding that sometimes the most professional thing you can do is be human. Devon couldn't speak. Mr. Chen also left something for you, an envelope, sealed. He asked that I give it to you if you accept the position. Your decision? Yes, Devon said. I accept. Good. Start Monday. Come by tomorrow to pick up the envelope and sign paperwork. The envelope was thick. Inside were 3 things. A handwritten note from Alexander. Devon, I was wrong. Not about everything. You did violate boundaries. You did manipulate the situation. But you did it for the right reasons. And I confused my embarrassment with your malice. Marcus helped me see that. He told me what you did wasn't manipulation, it was witnessing. You witnessed his pain, and you chose to acknowledge it instead of ignoring it. I'm sorry I fired you. I'm sorry I threatened you legally. And I'm sorry I made you feel like caring about people was a weakness instead of a strength. The money in this envelope is your first year's salary at Vision Tech. You earned it, not by being my assistant, but by being the person who reminded me that power without compassion is just cruelty with better furniture. I hope we can talk again someday, after the legal restrictions expire, after my ego heals, after I become the kind of person who deserves honest people around him. Thank you for trying to save me, even when I didn't want to be saved. Alexander. The second item was a check for $120,000. The third was a business card, not Alexander's, a therapist's, with a note. This helped me. Maybe it can help you too. Devon sat in Patricia's office, holding evidence that sometimes people do change. Sometimes they recognize their mistakes. Sometimes broken trust can be rebuilt, but not always. And not easily. 6 months later, Devon stood in Celestine's main dining room during the lunch rush. As floor manager, he moved through the space with authority he'd never had as a server, training new staff, watching tables, noticing patterns. And there, at table 7, the same table where Marcus and Vanessa used to have lunch, sat Marcus Hayes, with a woman Devon had never seen before. She was beautiful, natural, wearing a simple dress and laughing at something Marcus said. No designer labels, no performance, just genuine joy. Devon approached the table. Dr. Hayes, good to see you. Marcus looked up, surprised. Devon, I heard you were working here again. Congratulations on the promotion. Thank you. And who's this? This is Elena. She teaches art at my school. We've been. He glanced at her with genuine affection. We've been seeing each other for about 3 months now. Elena extended her hand. Marcus has told me a lot about you, about what you did. He made me sound braver than I was. No, Marcus said firmly. I made you sound exactly as brave as you were. You saw someone in pain and you refused to look away. That takes courage. A server approached one of the new hires Devon had trained. Young kid, nervous. Devon watched as the server took their order with care, with attention, with the understanding that these weren't just customers, they were people. After the server left, Marcus said quietly, I got a letter from Vanessa last week. Oh? She's in Los Angeles now, working at another gallery. She wanted to apologize. said she'd been in therapy, said she finally understood why she did what she did. How did that feel? Complicated. I'm glad she's getting help, but her healing doesn't undo my pain. It just means she won't hurt someone else the same way. Marcus took Elena's hand, but I'm grateful for what happened, because it freed me to find something real. Elena smiled. He tells our students that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the thing that saves you. Devon felt his throat tighten. That's beautiful. It's true, Marcus said. If you hadn't intervened that night, I might have stayed in that marriage for years. Might have missed this. He looked at Elena. Might have missed her. After they left, Devon found a note on the table along with their bill. Paid in full. Plus a 300% tip. The note read, "Some people see what's broken. Heroes see what can be built from the pieces. Thank you for being both. M and E." That evening, as Devon was closing up, his phone buzzed. A text from Alexander Chen. The first communication since the legal restrictions had expired 2 weeks ago. "Can we talk? Tomorrow, coffee?" Devon stared at the message for a long time, then replied, "Yes." They met at a quiet cafe in Greenwich Village, far from the power lunches and business deals. Just two men who'd both learned expensive lessons about truth and trust. Alexander looked different, less polished, more human. "Thank you for coming." "Of course. I've been in therapy, processing everything that happened. With Vanessa, with you, with my entire approach to relationships and power and control. How's that going?" Slowly, painfully, but necessarily. Alexander ordered coffee, regular coffee, not some elaborate custom drink. "My therapist asked me why I was so angry at you. Really angry. Beneath the contract violations and the professional boundaries. What did you say? That you made me feel foolish. That you exposed my blindness. That you proved I'd been played by someone I thought I was smarter than." Alexander's voice cracked slightly. "But that wasn't the real reason." Devon waited. "The real reason I was angry is because you did what I should have done. You noticed, you cared, you acted. And I was so busy being successful and powerful and in control that I missed everything important. The signs, the lies. The person I was actually engaged to versus the person I wanted her to be." "Alexander, let me finish, please." He took a breath. "You were right to intervene. Maybe you crossed professional lines. Maybe you should have handled it differently. But at the core, you were right. And I punished you for it, because I couldn't face my own failure. I manipulated the situation. You witnessed a situation and chose to act. That's not manipulation. That's moral courage. And I'm sorry I made you question that." They sat in silence for a moment. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Alexander continued. "I'm just asking if we can start over, as equals, as people who both made mistakes and both learned from them." Devon thought about the past 6 months, about Marcus finding Elena, about Alexander finding therapy, about himself finding a job where caring about people was valued instead of punished. "I'd like that," Devon said. Alexander smiled, a real smile, not a calculated one. "Patricia tells me you're doing incredible work at Celestine. Training staff to see customers as humans. That's revolutionary in this industry. It's just basic decency." "Which is revolutionary." Alexander pulled out his phone. "I want to show you something." He pulled up a social media post. Vanessa Laurent, posting from Los Angeles. A photo of her in a therapy office. Caption, 6 months sober from gold digging. learning that my value isn't measured in carats or zeros in bank accounts. Getting help, getting honest, getting better. She tagged me, Alexander said, apologized publicly, admitted to everything, asked for accountability, not forgiveness. How did that feel? Surprising, uncomfortable, and hopeful. Because if she can change, maybe anyone can. He looked at Devon. Maybe even billionaires who fire people for being honest. Devon laughed. Maybe even waiters who think they know better than everyone else. You did know better. That's what I'm trying to tell you. As they left the cafe, Alexander asked, "Do you ever regret it, intervening that night?" Devon thought about Marcus at table 7 with Elena. About Alexander in therapy, learning to be human. About Vanessa getting help in Los Angeles. About himself finding work that aligned with his values. "No," he said, "I don't regret it. Even with everything it cost. What if I'd never forgiven you? What if Marcus had sued? What if you'd been blacklisted permanently? Then I would have found another way to live according to my conscience. Because the alternative, staying silent when someone needs help that costs more than any job, is worth." Alexander nodded slowly. "You know what's funny?" "What?" "That night, at the proposal, I thought I was the most important person in the room, the richest, the most powerful, the one everyone should pay attention to. And now I know the most important person was the one I'd have never noticed before. The waiter who gave a damn." They shook hands, not as billionaire and floor manager, not as former employer and employee, but as two people who'd both learned that sometimes the most expensive lessons come wrapped in the smallest moments, and that the people you never bother to see are often the ones who change your life completely.